What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Crossblades podcast. I am your host, Samek, and this is my co host, Nico, where we talk about faith, pop culture, and everything else in between. Today is episode 7, and what is the topic today?
Today's topic is the story of the Bible.
The Bible.
You need to bow down and pray to Jimmy right now.
Do you question the words of the Almighty?
Yep. It,
Anyways, enough with the memes.
yep.
Seriously, though, the Bible is the most printed and most sold book in the entire world.
And then
So, needless,
isn't it also one of the most illegal books in the world too?
it depends on the country, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, I think it's pretty safe to say that the Bible is probably one of the most important pieces of literature. Even if you are not a Christian, there is no denying the impact it's had on the world.
Yep. I would have to say that I grew up as a Christian, as you guys know. I'm a preacher's kid, and I used the Bible was actually one of the core parts of my homeschooling, believe it or not, and it impacted me so much in my life and whatnot. So it's it can impact you if you read it.
Indeed, and I was homeschooled. I'm a homeschooled Christian too. It We got our homeschooling curriculum through Rod and Staff, which was a Mennonite curriculum,
Hmm.
and they actually had a subject of Bible. That was actually my favorite subject because it went really in depth, and we did it for several grades. It was really cool. But yeah, the Bible has had a huge impact on my life spiritually, and also a huge impact on me as a writer, where a lot of my inspiration comes from my faith and from the stories of the Bible.
I would have to agree too. A lot of the stories that I'm also writing myself, we try to stick to the biblical. I want to say narrative, but the biblical principles is the better way of putting it.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. But it's interesting because this I do want to talk about this subject in a whole episode, but Christian media outside of the Bible is not really regarded in a good light because most of the time it's not really top quality.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, the Bible is not just prophecy or Psalms or Proverbs. Like there is some awesome entertaining stuff in here.
Oh yeah.
Like some really cool action-packed stuff.
Hmm.
So, first, why don't we, for those of you who have not read the Bible, or for those of you who would like a little bit of a refresher, why don't we go through the basic story of the Bible really quick?
Okay.
Now, this is going to be like a very condensed version, so if you want the full version, please read the Bible. So, essentially, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Within 6 days, he formed the earth and said it was good. On the seventh day, he rested. He formed man with his own breath, giving him the breath of life, forming him from the dust. Which is interesting because if you look at every skin color of every ethnic group, it's different shades of dust, of dirt,
Hmm.
which I find
Because
very interesting.
yes, because if you look at us, we are literally if you go, both of us are white, as you can tell, and we are. It's a there are literally shades of dirt that are kind of tannish and whitish
Mhm.
tan. So that makes sense.
Different browns, tans, and even reds. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, then, of course, through Adam, he formed Eve, and he placed them in the Garden of Eden and told them, be fruitful and multiply, make the rest of the earth like Eden.
Hmm.
Everything is yours, except for this one tree, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. If you touch it and if you eat it, you will surely die. Because think about how selfish this is. You have everything.
Hmm.
Really, everything I have given you, all you have to do is leave this one alone because this is mine. What did Adam and Eve do despite having everything? They wanted that one thing that God said you couldn't have.
How ironic.
So, the serpent in the garden, some suggest that this is Satan himself. Others say it's not. That's a topic for another time. But needless to say, the serpent changed the narrative and
Hmm.
deceived them, saying, God did surely not, God did not surely tell you that you will die. Obviously, God did, but and he said, if you eat of this, you will be like God in having knowledge of good and evil. Now, here's the thing: when they ate the fruit, the part of gaining knowledge of good and evil came true,
Mm-hmm.
but the part of becoming like God, of course, was the lie,
Yep.
which is something we can all learn from because some of the biggest truths even have a tiny some of the biggest lies have just a little bit of truth in it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, because of that sin, because of that act of rebellion against God, God cursed the earth and cursed them. He had every right to strike them dead at that moment, but he still gave them mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And he told the woman, remember this part, this part's important. He told the woman, from your seed will come a man who will attack the serpent's seed.
Mm-hmm.
The serpent will bruise his heel, but your seed will bruise his head.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put animosity between the two of them. So Adam and Eve have Cain and Abel. Cain kills Abel. Everything goes to crap after that.
Yep.
The war in Genesis
Noah.
6, in Genesis 6, it mentions angels coming down and intermingling with humankind, interbreeding with the women, and creating giants that ruled the world. And it said that they were in those days and after, another important factor.
Mm-hmm.
And then because of the depravity that the giants brought, God had to destroy the earth through a flood.
Mm-hmm.
And Noah, the righteous man, one of the few righteous men alive whose DNA wasn't corrupted, he commanded him to build a boat. He built the boat. The floods came. Noah and his family survived.
Mm-hmm.
They rebuilt the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, you have some that are like, I don't want to do what God asked me to do. I want to stay here and build a tower.
Mm-hmm.
The Tower of Babel is built as a way to demonically get to God. Other ancient texts suggest that they were even wanting to wage war with God himself.
Hmm. I see.
So God sent a spirit of confusion and mixed all their languages.
Mm-hmm.
So then they were forced to spread to the corners of the earth.
Yep.
But this is when the big picture, this is just the beginning. This is when the big picture comes in.
Mm-hmm.
There was a man named Abram that God, out of all the people of the earth, he chose him, set him apart from the rest of the world, and said, your descendants will be my people. But there's a problem. Abram was pretty old, and his wife was barren. She
Mm-hmm.
couldn't bear children.
Nope.
But he still promised him, I will give you a child. So Abram follows God, but instead decides to do the deed with his wife's servant in order to get a son. Well, God's not really not happy with him, but it's like, you know what? I promised you that your family would be fruitful and multiply. So your son Ishmael, will have a seed and they will become great.
Mm-hmm.
It is believed that that is where many of the Arab nations come from.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when God finally gave Abraham a son by the name of Isaac, is where the Hebrews, the Israelites, came from.
Mm-hmm.
When I believe Abraham's wife, because his name changed from Abram to Abraham, meaning father of many,
Mm-hmm.
I think she was 99 years old
Mm-hmm.
when she gave birth to him.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's an achievement right there.
Yeah.
But needless to say, generations passed. Isaac and his family, his son Jacob, and the different 12 Jacob's sons formed the 12 tribes of Israel, and they all took residence in the land of Canaan, which God set apart for them for their land.
Mm-hmm.
Well, eventually, because of Joseph, who was sold into slavery, but then ended up becoming essentially the Prince of Egypt,
Yep.
the Israelites started intermingling with Egypt, and later on, Egypt enslaved them.
Yep.
Well, God sent a deliverer,
Moses.
Moses. This is also another key factor because Moses is a foreshadow of something huge that was going to come later. So Moses comes through the power of God, through 10 plagues, delivers Israel out of the hands of Egypt.
May I say something?
He sends. Yeah, sure.
So, for those who don't know, the 10 plagues were actually each a slap in the face to the gods of Egypt.
Exactly. Yes, that is a really cool little snippet if you want to go dive deeper into that.
Yeah, I
Because
find that awesome.
God flat out said, "I will wage war against Egypt's gods."
Yep. Which were false.
So, hmm so anyways, they're taken out of Egypt, and when they're heading back to Canaan to reclaim their homeland, they stumble upon the giants that I mentioned earlier,
Mm-hmm.
the Nephilim, or also known as the Anakim. And they said, "We looked like grasshoppers in their sight."
Yep.
And they did not trust that God could deliver them, and they mocked God even. So he told them, "All right, fine. You want to die in the desert? Die in the desert." So they wandered the desert for 40 years. That generation died off, but the next generation, led by Joshua, reclaimed their land.
Yep.
All was well at first until they started intermingling with the other pagan tribes and doing atrocities. Because the thing about the ancient Canaanite pagans is they didn't just do a little bit of, the traditional pagan things that people do. No, they committed some of the worst atrocities known to man
Yeah,
and celebrated.
including child sacrifice.
Yeah, it was horrible. So needless to say, Israel started doing that. So God was like, "Okay, you're going to do that. Here you go." The Philistines, which was a rival kingdom, would come in and start oppressing them. Well, they'd come back to God, ask for a deliverer. A deliverer would come and save them. They would get back in line. Then they'd get back out in line. And literally, that was just like a reoccurring cycle for hundreds of years.
We
This was the
got
time of the.
we got
This was
David,
the.
we got Saul, we got Solomon, we got all
No,
these.
this was before them.
Oh yeah,
This
that.
was the time of the judges.
Oh, time of the judges. My bad, my bad. I thought we were skipping to that.
No, wait, then comes David.
Yeah.
David was David was a huge turning point for the nation of Israel
Mm-hmm.
because they wanted a king and they elected King Saul.
Mm-hmm.
Even though God said, "I am your king, but if you insist, here is Saul." Saul was a righteous man at first, but then he became too power hungry.
Yep.
So he elected David to take his place.
Mm-hmm.
After a lot of political BS, running from Saul, Saul was killed by the Philistines, and David took place as throne,
Mm-hmm.
as the king of Israel. David was a very faithful man to God. He was called a man after God's own heart. He wrote many of the Psalms. He brought unity to Israel, but unfortunately, he did in his later years also divide Israel.
Yes. And it was also because of the fact that he was a man of war. Was the fact is because he was not able to rebuild the temple of the Lord,
To which God gave that task to Solomon.
his
He
son.
asked Solomon, "What will I give you?" Solomon, being the son of King David, wanting to follow in his father's footsteps of being a man after God's own heart, he didn't ask for wealth. He said, "I want wisdom."
Yep.
So God gave him wisdom, but he also gave him wealth.
Mm-hmm.
He built the temple. He brought a age of prosperity to Israel, but unfortunately, very soon, his father in his older age, he started doing a lot of stupid things. He married literally 700 wives
Yep.
and 300 concubines. Most of them were for like peace treaties with other kingdoms, but by bringing in the tribes from the different pagan religions that I was mentioning earlier,
Yep.
brought a lot of crap into Israel. So all the kings of Israel after him were unrighteous.
Mm-hmm.
So much so to the point that Israel and Judea split in half,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes even warred with each other.
Yeah.
So you had the two rival kingdoms. There were some good kings, some righteous kings in Judea,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually Israel was taken captive by the Assyrians.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple hundred years later, the Babylonians came and took Judea captive because God told them, "If you do not turn from your wicked ways, I will remove you from your land."
Mm-hmm.
Well, they didn't listen, so he had to bring judgment upon them because they were actively committing atrocities. They were murdering the prophets, trying to warn them. They're committing child sacrifices, insane, disgusting sexual rituals. It
Yep.
was they were performing evil.
Mhm.
Well, after 70 years of captivity, and when they turned back to God, he put them back in their land. They rebuilt the temple, they rebuilt the walls.
Nehemiah.
Yes, Nehemiah and Ezra leading to that,
Mhm.
but led to the rebuilding of Jerusalem.
Mhm.
Then, for a long period of time, there was no prophet, there was no sighting of divine encounters because God would create miracles, signs, and wonders and deliver these people from the hands of their enemies. But for a very long time, none of that was present. And at this point, the Romans had finally taken over Israel.
Mhm.
This comes the most important part of the story. From the family line of David, a man which David was from Abraham's line,
Mhm.
and a man that was a deliverer more so than even Moses was, comes Yeshua,
Or
Jesus Christ.
yes.
A woman by the name of Mary, or Miriam in Hebrew, who was a virgin engaged to a man, Joseph. The angel
Mhm.
Gabriel, approached her and said, "You are honored among women, and you will give birth to the prophesied Messiah." And she did.
Mhm.
Which is where we get the Christmas story from.
Yes.
Although it technically wasn't in a manger, or no, sorry, it wasn't in just a stable
Mm.
off in the middle of the nowhere.
No.
When it said that there was no room in the living quarters, they weren't talking about like hotels. They were talking about the house.
Yeah.
So, fun little fact. Technically, Jesus wasn't. You know how we see in the Tristel stories. Oh, I'm sorry, there's no room. Well, no, he would have been born in like the family stable,
Yeah. I know.
like in the basement, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a fun little fact out there. But anyways, so Jesus comes. He lives as a carpenter. Then he becomes a rabbi. Chooses 12 disciples to follow him because this is the kind of an important part because back then, him being a rabbi, rabbis did not choose who followed them. The
Mhm.
followers chose which rabbi to
Yep.
follow. So
Mm.
the fact that he chose each of his disciples is pretty significant.
Oh yeah.
So they go out into the nations of Israel and they start proclaiming the kingdom of God is coming.
Mhm.
Because at this point in time, the religious leaders had lost sight of what it meant to follow God. They
Mhm.
created their own man made traditions and their own beliefs and followed those instead of following God Himself.
And the Torah.
So, in the Torah, exactly, which is what Moses wrote and gave to the people of Israel to follow God.
It's very significant because Jesus himself spoke from the Torah and read out of the Torah.
And he even says, if you love my Father, you will obey his commandments, mentioning Torah.
Yep.
There are many Christians nowadays that want to disregard the Torah, but no, it's a very important piece of
Mhm.
Scripture.
I don't deny that.
Oh, yeah. So, he performs miracles, signs, and wonders, teaches in parables, storytelling. But then the people are divided. Many people follow him, many people hate him because he stood up for truth and called out evil and called out the hypocrisy amongst the religious leaders. So
Indeed.
the religious leaders, using their political power and painting him as like the enemy of the state, of
Mhm.
the enemy of Rome, ended up having him crucified.
Not just crucified
I whipped, beaten, and then crucified
and crown of
with a
thorns.
crown of thorns literally twisted around his head. Like the
And
thorns were about that big.
yeah, we don't. It's not like the like for example, like Jesus of Nazareth, for example. That's not what the thorns were looked like. No,
No,
no, no, no, no,
it
no.
wasn't like a little halo. It was literally wrapped around his entire head.
Yeah,
It was a legit crown. It wasn't like a little halo. It was literally twisted, not placed, twisted around his head.
yeah.
And honestly, I want to talk about the crucifixion in another episode, but I'll. So, anyways, he's crucified, he dies, but then within 3 days, just as he prophesied, and many of books in the Old Testament before him
Hmm.
prophesied, he rises within 3 days, comes out of the tomb, appears to his disciples,
And
and
who
then
was the
he
first
ascends into.
person? Sorry, and who was the
Oh,
first people he actually was present before?
the women,
Yes.
because despite, unfortunately, there was some sexism within that culture, which God did not condone.
Nope.
So Jesus, many a times, actually showed how important women were within society, and there were women within his ministry that served very important roles.
Yep.
So he went to them first.
Of course.
Mary is Mary specifically, not his mother. There was another person named Mary. Mary was a very common in that time.
Yes.
And he ascended and promised to return.
Mm-hmm.
Within 40 days of his ascension, the Holy Spirit came upon his followers, and they went out into the four corners of the earth and spread the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them got killed over it, but because of their courage and their faith, Christianity is still very relevant 2,000 years later.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Now, this is the very important part of the story. Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach in Hebrew, he was literally God turned into the form of a man.
Mm-hmm.
He lived exactly how we would live.
Mm-hmm.
He he was angry, sorrowful, he was hurt, he had to work hard, he lived as the middle class. He was the average person. He lived a basic life of a human, but he never committed a sin. He was spotless, blameless. He was perfect,
Mm-hmm.
which is why he had to die. Because every one of us has committed evil, every one of us has sinned, and every one of us deserves judgment. But because God loved us so much, he decided to take that judgment instead of pouring it out upon us. So he endured the most painful death known to man. Seriously, look at Roman scourging and crucifixion. They designed it to inflict as much pain for as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally the worst way to die.
I've said this before. I'll say this again. The word excruciating comes from the word crucifixion.
Mm-hmm. Like, crucifixion was so horrific that you weren't even supposed to utter it in public.
Yep.
It was horrific. Not, I mean, I get why they do it in movies, but the movies, no, that's not what it looked like. It was horrific.
Yeah. It was way
And
more graphic, gory, and disgusting.
even more so than the Passion of the Christ depicted it.
Oh yeah. The Passion of the
Like I
Christ is
said,
rated R.
oh, yeah. So he had angels at his disposal.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I have an army of angels that can come and save me.
Mm-hmm.
But he still willingly went through the most excruciating pain that any man could go through, and he died.
Mm-hmm.
He took on the sins of the entire world. He who knew no sin became sin.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he died, was to sanctify our sins, and then he rose again to give us eternal life.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole point of the Bible, it's a story of God's salvation to his bride, the bride being the church.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus came from the family line of Abraham, from of Moses, of David. And by his stripes, by the blood that he poured out, he gave not only salvation to the Jewish people, but he gave it to all. All who put all of us who put our faith in him, all of us who follow his ways and accept the fact that we are sinners and we accept him as savior, and if
Mm-hmm.
we obey his commandments, and every time we stumble and we fall we get back up and keep fighting the good fight, that is how we are saved.
Yes.
And if we stay the course, when we die, get to the afterlife, which is heaven, we will meet God and he will say, well done, good and faithful servant, you may enter my kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus told his disciples, go out into the four corners of the earth and spread the gospel. I will not return until the four corners of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, the Bible, many people are so confused about the Bible. The Bible is really many a thing.
Hmm.
Yes, it is history, it is prophecy, it is teaching. But the best way I can explain it is the Bible is the story of earth, the story of God's redemption for his people. And with that redemption comes examples of how to live.
Hmm.
And it also gives history as here's examples of how people lived. Follow their example. Here's examples of other people who lived. Don't follow their example.
I I agree.
So, with that, I think we should segue into the next part, which I will let you go first. Our favorite Bible stories.
All right. So I have a couple. One of my favorite Bible stories has to be with Elijah and the prophets of Baal and him mocking them because obviously that God was false, and that was it's just the way he goes about it. He's just like, cry louder. Maybe your God will hear you. Maybe he's deep in thought, or maybe he's taking a crap. That's basically what he said.
Yeah. So, extra context, the prophets of Baal, they would literally sacrifice their babies and throw them in fire.
Hmm.
That's how evil these people were.
Yeah.
And these people had essentially taken over Israel. And Elijah challenged them. He said, I want to God is correct, God or my God. So they were performing, they were cutting themselves, trying to call Baal, and like he said, uh, Elijah started mocking them for it. Well,
Mm.
then Elijah said, was telling them, "Let your God set this altar on fire." Well, nothing happened. Well, then Elijah poured water on his altar, called on the name of the Lord, and a flame ball from heaven just set the altar on fire,
Hmm.
proving that Yahweh is God.
Yes.
So then they killed all the prophets of Baal.
Great story. Another one of my favorites would have to be the left-handed judge who stabbed a king that was so fat that his knife or his dagger was engulfed in his fat and he couldn't get back out.
Yeah, that was Ehud, I believe.
Yeah, King Eglon was the guy who was killed.
Because he was an evil tyrant who was oppressing Israel.
Yep, yep. Trying to think of one more, and then I'll let you go. Another one of my favorites is uh, what was it? It was um,
Was it Gideon?
it wasn't Gideon. No, it was I'm trying to remember. Um, I'll let you go, and it might come back to me.
Okay, that's fine. One of my favorites is, well, I'll say Gideon. Gideon is an interesting one because in that time, the Jews, it was illegal for them to worship their God, Yahweh.
Hmm.
And the Philistines had, I think it was the Philistines?
I think it was the
Or was it
Midianites.
No, no, right. It was the Midianites. Thank you. It was the Midianites at this point.
Yeah.
And God himself appeared to Gideon and appointed him Israel. So then Gideon took a couple thousand people,
Hmm.
and then God said, "No, that's too many, but dwindle it down." So
Hmm.
Gideon said, "Okay, for those of you who are fearful, want to go," they went home. God said, "That's too many." And God says, "Take them by the river and watch how they drink."
Hmm.
The ones that literally just went head first into the water,
And
he
laughed like a
says,
dog.
he said, get rid of them. But the ones that were watchful and aware and scooped up,
Hmm.
he said, keep them. There was only 300 of them.
Yep.
So they went to the Midianite camps in the dead of night, blew shofars, lifted torches as they threw down clay pots and said, for God and for Gideon. Well, the Midianites got so scared that they just started killing each
Yep.
other. So, yeah.
That's an
that
epic story.
That's an epic story. What's kind of not so epic about it, though, is Gideon decided to marry a bunch of wives and had 70 sons, and one of the sons became a little tyrant and killed the other sons and tried to take over Israel. But then a lady, I don't think her name was ever mentioned, though, a lady went from a tower, pushed a millstone, and
Yeah,
on him.
that was Joash. No, not Joash. What was his
No,
name?
that was Joash.
Abimelech. His name was Abimelech.
Yes, Abimelech. Yes, and he literally told one of his soldiers, "Finish me off because I don't want to die with the embarrassment of being killed by a woman."
Sexist much?
Yeah. But another one of my favorites is Samson. I know that's a little cliche, but just the idea of a guy, God appointed him as a judge and said he will be a Nazarite. The
Mhm.
Nazarite vow was you don't cut your hair, you don't touch a dead corpse, you don't touch a grape or eat a grape, anything that has to do with grapes.
Mhm.
So that's why he had the long hair. It was part of a vow.
Mhm.
Well, with that, he had divine strength. Now, when I got older and fully read the story, I realized what a little twerp Samson was. He
Yeah.
was like, dude, this guy is entitled. He was a womanizer.
Yeah.
But still, God used him to deliver Israel. Like, he would literally killed like 1,000 Philistines with a jawbone of a donkey.
Yep. One
Literally
jawbone.
piled them up and stood on top of them. It's like, with a
Yeah.
giant ass. So,
Yeah.
and like another one of my favorites is, well, I mean, it's kind of several little bitty stories within one, but David had a group of his greatest soldiers that he called the Mighty Men,
Mhm.
and just like the things they accomplished in battle
Mhm.
were just astounding. Like one of them literally killed thousands of Philistines, and after he was done, they literally had to pry his hand off the sword. Another one got thrown into a pit with a lion and killed it with a spear.
Mhm.
They just did all these totally badass things. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. It's like, you seriously, guys, go read First and Second, the Judges, First and Second Samuel, the Kings, and the Chronicles. Those are like the historical side. They've just got so much action-packed, just awesomeness in there.
Oh yeah, I don't deny that. But the thing is just that people keep thinking that the Bible is a sissy book for children. No, it ain't.
No,
No, it ain't.
no. like one instance, this was one of the stupid things David did. He married a bunch of women,
Mhm.
even though God said in the beginning it should be one man, one woman. Supposed to go marry a bunch of other people, but needless to say, they did anyways.
Yep.
Anyways, so David had one of his sons, Absalom. His sister was raped by one of her half brothers.
Mhm.
Well, Absalom, completely understandably so, wanted justice. David, for some reason, I guess, took stupid pills that morning and was like, no, I'm not going to. So Absalom, not saying it was right, but understandable, went and killed the guy.
Mhm.
Well, then David kicked Absalom out of the kingdom. This is when Absalom became really dumb. Absalom was like, okay, fine, I'm going to take over the kingdom. Well, he almost did, actually.
Mhm.
Well, then he never cut his hair for some reason. I guess he thought it was cool. I guess he was trying to be edgy. But needless to say, David's general, Joab was chasing him. Well, branches caught in his long hair, so he's just really dangling from a tree with his hair caught up. And Joab's just like, okay, takes 3 darts and okay, he's dead.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, okay. And like, there's another beforehand, when Joab was leading conquests against Saul's family because Saul wanted to kill David for a very long time.
Mhm.
Well, they were doing their thing, and they were chasing one of Saul's sons.
Mhm.
Well, that son was like, "Leave me alone! I don't want any." But they kept pursuing him, so thrust the spear behind him.
Mhm.
Some some translations say it hit his gut. Others say it hit his,
Oh.
and it said that when the spear came out, his innards just kind of,
Yep.
so he died instantly. So, needless to say, Joab was pretty mad because the guy who got stabbed was Joab's brother.
Yeah.
So, when David finally became king of Israel, he was trying to create peace, well, Abner, the one who threw the spear backward,
Mhm.
he was going to talk peace with David. Well, Joab saw the opportunity to take his sword and stab him in the nurks.
Yeah.
And when he pulled it out, his innards fell out, and yeah, he died just like his brother. Needless to say, David was not happy.
No.
And then there was one instance where another one of Saul's sons kind of became ruler over a section of Israel, and he was tyrannical, granted, but there were two assassins that snuck into his house while he was sleeping, stabbed him in the nurks too.
Yep.
What was up with people stabbing each other in the nurks? Well,
I
they
don't
went to
know, man.
Dave and they're like, "Hey, give him a promotion."
He had some
David
extra
killed
shit.
them and David killed them and hung their bodies out for people to see.
Yeah, because if you want to find favor in me, you do not kill the the king's offspring.
Yeah, because King Saul was anointed,
Yeah.
but he rebelled against God, and that's what led to his demise. But still, David was like, "What you did was wrong." Like, there's quite a bit of war, there's quite a bit of violence, there's even some grave things.
Yeah.
But the thing is, these are records of history. This isn't a lot of the things that they did. God did not condone, and He made it very clear. He would so a lot of people read these things in the Bible and get this weird idea that God condoned these things. It's like a lot of it. No, He didn't. This
No.
is just telling you what happened.
Yeah. So, um, another one of my favorite Bible stories is Jezebel. Jezebel's death. That is hardcore
Shit.
Bruce.
Yes.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Who was the guy who pushed her with his subjects? Who was it? What was his name again?
So the king of Israel was Ahab, and his Jezebel. She was into weird demonic black magic pagan crap,
Yep,
and she influenced Ahab. Well, Jehu
Jehu.
was Jehu.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can finish. Jehu started a rebellion against the two of them. You can finish the story.
yeah. And so they went up to I think it was he there was a vineyard that this is King Ahab's death. Then we'll get to Jezebel's. King Ahab wanted a vineyard from this guy because it was so beautiful and yada yada yada, and it was on like literally right next to his palace. And he was like, "Hey, I'll sell you. I'll buy this vineyard for you." He's like, "No, I've had this been in my family for generations. No, you can't have it." So he has the guy killed and stuff, and he takes the vineyard for himself. Then I believe it's Elijah comes to him and says, "Because of this, you shall die, because you took this man's life."
Mm-hmm.
And then he is killed in battle, I believe, with he's shot, I believe, with an arrow, and he bled to death.
Jehu. It was either Jehu or one of Jehu's shot an arrow, and it went through the chariot door and into his side. He ran out in the wilderness and died.
Yep, yep. And then the funny thing is that his wife didn't give a crap. She went on, put on her finest makeup when the guy said he was going to arrive and say and everything like that. She's like, I don't give a crap that my husband's dead. I'm just gonna pep myself up.
I can't help but wonder if she was going to try and seduce Jehu.
I that might be it, or maybe she just was just like, you know what I'm saying? She just put on her finest.
No, I know. Yeah, it was just weird what
Yeah,
she did.
yeah. And so what happened is that when Jehu arrived, he said, he had two guys push her off of the balcony of the palace, and then dogs came and ate everything except for her hands and her feet.
Well, before the dogs came, a bunch of chariots ran over her twitching corpse.
Yeah, yeah, and they didn't eat her hands because her hands committed great atrocities,
Mm-hmm.
which
Which
is
was prophesied
it was
beforehand.
yeah it was. So, if needless to say, the Bible has some pretty hardcore stories.
Oh, it's yeah. I'm serious. I there. Don't get me wrong. Like I mentioned earlier, Jesus Christ, salvation that He gives to us is the most important part of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like that's all people want to do is crank out another movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, that's good and all, but it's like there are so many other Bible stories that haven't even been put to film.
Yeah.
It's like Aaron, my brother Aaron and I, we just watched the the animated movie The King of Kings
Hmm.
today. Actually,
Yeah.
it was a pretty good movie. You know, it was a pretty good kids movie.
Yeah.
And there's another one coming out pretty soon, made by a Disney animator called Lights Through the Eyes of John.
Oh, okay.
So that one looks pretty neat. But part of me, I'm like, okay, this is good. Come on,
Yeah.
give us some action. It's
Yeah,
like we
like
don't have to.
I will
We
give
don't
you
have to play the safe route.
yeah, I will give you I'll give the credit where it's due. There was once this homeschooling convention that I went to where they had they made Lego stop motion animations of the story of the Pharaoh being the stories of the Pharaoh within Moses, and then up to the point to where right before Joshua. Those were the original things they did. But then they actually did another one with the story of Joshua and the wall of Jericho and everything, and and they did that with Adobe After Effects and with all kinds of like cool stuff. Like part of the one of the scenes that was they did in that movie was like a 30-minute short film or whatever. They did entirely with CGI Legos. It's really good.
Where is this?
It's called
I gotta watch it now.
it's called Jericho: The Promise Fulfilled. I think you can get it on Amazon for like $20.
Huh.
It's a Lego stop motion animation film. It's really good.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, you should check it out. It's by
Or
Shatterpoint Entertainment. They're no longer around, unfortunately, but they were really good back then.
oh, that's cool. Like, I've seen some other stop motion Lego animations.
But this
I
was
just can't remember.
biblically accurate.
Oh, that's cool. Like another one that I really loved. I've shown you it. It was the Gaborum Studios short film called Hold the Pass,
Yeah.
where it was about Shamgar, the judge who killed 600 Philistines with an ox goad.
Hmm.
I love that one because they made that one full blown rated R,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm like, yes, yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this was still it was PG-13 material from the thing I showed you, but
Oh no,
it was still biblically
that's not,
accurate though, as best they could with
yeah,
Legos. And the voice acting and the all of the special effects that were used. Oh my gosh, you should have seen it, man.
man. That I gotta check that out. That sounds cool. But yeah, like I'm like, I love that that faith-based films and even biblical films are getting better.
Hmm.
And yes, we do need to show Bible stories for children,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I it's like the Bible isn't a children's book. It's
No,
like here's the harsh reality of life. And I'm like, we need hardcore movies about the Bible. It's like we should show it from what happened. No, I'm not saying we need to show the sexual depravity. You can imply that without showing it.
exactly like
But
they did with
like,
Sound of Freedom. They implied it, but they never showed it.
uh exactly. And it's I'm just like, give us a full-blown R-rated Bible movies about the wars of Israel, the judges, the kings. You know, it's like there's so many Bible stories that can make such good movies.
Hmm.
It's like it's like quit just doing Jesus. It's like Jesus is only a
Yeah,
Bible. There's more.
there's so much
And
more.
and also one thing I think the reason why they do Jesus is because that's the safe route.
Yes, but it's also a
And
selling
I'm like,
point.
and yes, it's the safe route and it's the selling point. And I'm like, that's good and all, but come on here. I've been longing for this for years. I'm not the only one.
Yeah, there's multiple Christians and many Christians who want to see a full blown, you know, raw version of the Bible in movie form.
Yeah. Like there's probably seriously, if you made a biblically accurate movie about like David, not House of David.
No, 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 no,
No,
no, no.
that is I was really excited for that one, but I heard how biblically inaccurate it was and how they made David very selfish. And I'm like, in his later life, yes, but at this point in time,
Yeah, no.
no. Seriously, it's like if you gave us a biblically accurate film, an R-rated film about the judges, David, the kings, all the different stuff. It's like you would make $1 million.
I'm pretty
Like
sure you would.
I've even talked to pagans and even atheists, and they have said, "Yeah, we love those stories."
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, come on, don't be scared to branch out. Like, tackle these tough subjects, show what happened. It's like, come on, there's a lot of, yes, there's some wicked, depraved stuff, but there's also some totally awesome, epic stuff in there.
Oh yeah, it's literally the ultimate story of good triumphing over evil ultimately.
Exactly.
So yeah,
There's a reason why it's called the greatest story ever told.
yeah, and it's also why it's called the Good Book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so with that regard, what other stories do we like here? We gotta also talk about how the disciples all were, martyred, obviously, because those were actually some interesting things. Like one of them was boiled in oil and survived.
John, specifically.
Yeah, he
He was the
survived.
only one of the 12 disciples to survive, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was one who died of old age who was never martyred though.
Well, that's John.
Oh, that was him. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Luke, who wrote the book of Luke, and he also wrote the Acts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing: none of their, well, a few of their deaths were recorded in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the other deaths were recorded through traditions,
Mm-hmm.
and they were all compiled in the Martyr Song.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit, some of the accounts we are not entirely
Yeah.
true, but they more than most likely are. Let's just be honest here.
Yeah.
But like Peter, who was the leader of the disciples, he first they crucified his wife,
Ugh.
and then they crucified him. But he said, "I refuse to die the way the Savior did because I'm not worthy." So they just crucified him upside down.
Which I don't know if that's worse or not.
To honestly, I'm not even sure how that would work because the whole point of crucifixion is the way you
Asphyxiation.
would the way you would hang, all of your weight is pressing down upon your lungs
Mm-hmm.
to where you literally have to fight to get so you would literally have to pull yourself up in order
Yeah.
just to get a breath in, and even then you couldn't even full.
Yeah.
It felt like your lungs were exploding every time you took a breath.
Yeah. In that
So with you
regard,
upside down, I'm not sure how in the world that worked.
I don't
Would he
know
like
either.
have to just like I don't know.
But still to pray for regardless.
It, yeah, it's
But in that regard, have you seen the animation called My Last Day?
yes, that's a
That
good one.
My Last Day. It's been dubbed in many languages, but the English version is really really well done.
It's
It,
free on YouTube. You can watch it.
yeah, yeah. I might leave a link in the description. Um, it's telling the story of Jesus' crucifixion from the perspective of one of the thieves on the cross. All right, it was
Because
and
for those of you who don't know, Jesus was crucified in between two thieves.
yes, and they said we deserve to die for what we're doing for what we've done, but this man has done nothing wrong. Do you have no respect for the Lord?
Well,
That's what
only one of them did.
that's what I was saying.
The
Yeah,
other one mocked him.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Um, but the way that it's portrayed, it's still it wouldn't I wouldn't say it was completely accurate to a Roman crucifixion, but it was very very close in
It
my
was pretty
opinion.
close, pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. So, and you see everything, and it's on YouTube, literally everything.
Yeah, it's a pretty gruesome, I will say, but it was very well done.
Yeah, so that's a very good animation, and it's done in an anime style. Surprisingly, it's a Christian anime.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's a good one. Um, what is your opinion on we talked about Jesus of Nazareth briefly and that story, and that's how that's portrayed. What other forms of media aside from The Chosen, which we already know your opinion on The Chosen, but
Oh, Chosen's awesome.
oh yeah, Chosen is really really great, and I have a feeling that once they get to the crucifixion, it's gonna get pretty gnarly.
Pretty emotional. Uh, but yeah, I will talk about the Chosen briefly because I feel like the Chosen exists
What?
because the Chosen. I
Yeah, I
said I
know.
think that's one of the best depictions of Jesus
I agree.
because they fully because Jesus was God and
Yeah.
they make him man, but yet they divinity. Other times they focus on the divinity, but yet he feels like a robot.
Yeah, he's
Whereas,
like a shell of what he's supposed to be.
whereas the Chosen, I feel like does a really good showing you his emotions, his thoughts, the divinity, but also humanity. Yeah,
Yeah, because
I feel like they do a really good job of that.
yes, and one of my favorite episodes I've seen thus far is Jesus and the Children. That one was a
That
great
was
episode.
that was a fun one. How many episodes have you
I've
watched?
seen, I think, all of season one.
Oh, dude, it gets better.
I know.
It gets
I've
better.
seen up to the point where he's about to where he's almost thrown off the cliff by the Sanhedrin.
Oh no, that's was that season 3?
I guess my mom and dad may have skipped. I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen a few full episodes, but not all of them.
Dude, you need to sit down and watch them. Like, trust me,
We
it's
can
beautiful.
just log into your account and we can.
Oh, I don't watch it on my account. I watch it on Dad's
Oh, okay, we'll just log
Dad's
into.
Amazon.
Oh yeah, just log into your Amazon. We can watch it together here.
Yeah, we could do that. But anyways, The
Yeah.
Passion of the Christ. I know a lot of people get squeamish about that movie. It got a lot of backlash for being rated R, which I think is stupid. It's like
What
it's not even
happens?
close. It's not even close to what Jesus actually went through, and
Yeah,
even
exactly.
then, it earned that R rating.
Yeah.
But needless to say, the cinematography, the music, the acting, especially,
Mm.
was that movie should have won an Oscar.
Oh, shut up. Yeah.
It is a cinematic masterpiece.
Mm.
Like it, I am really excited for the sequel, The Resurrection of the.
Yeah, me too. Isn't it coming
Um,
out next year?
Next year,
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah.
One part is being, I think, released on Passover. The next part's being released on Pentecost, 40 days
Nice.
apart.
Nice.
Now, if y'all know, y'all know
Dude,
that.
we need to go see that in theaters together. I
Oh, we
will.
do.
Yeah, I'm gonna be out of school by then. I should be working and
In
everything.
March.
Uh, April. April.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Aaron and I want to go see it. But yeah, another really good one. I grew up with this one.
Mhm.
What was the? I forget the studio's name,
Mhm.
but they did animated stories from the New Testament. The company is Mormon,
Mhm.
but they still did a really fantastic job of doing these animated stories of the New Testament. I grew
Yeah.
up with those VHS tapes.
Mhm.
Those were really great. I loved Jesus in there.
Mhm.
He like I think one of the most cold chill moments of my childhood was the episode The Miracles of Jesus, and it began with them on the boat
Mhm.
in the Galilee and the storm is raging and everyone's freaking out and Jesus, peace be still, and then the storm just stopped. First
Yeah.
time I saw that as a kid, I was just like, that was also the He is Risen episode.
Mhm.
It begins with he's already dead, but he's still on the cross. It
Yeah.
shows the events, kind of showing you how the disciples are doing, his resurrection. But I don't know why I loved this so much as a kid, but my favorite scene in that entire thing was, of course, when Gabriel says he is not here, he is risen. But
Mhm.
my second favorite scene is when Pilate is, fully has accepted the fact that he murdered an innocent man.
Yeah.
You even see him still washing his hands. He's just depressed.
Yeah.
He's just over it. Well,
Mhm.
then Caiaphas comes to him, and he's just like, "Isn't it the Sabbath? You're supposed to be home worshiping or whatever you do." And then Caiaphas gave femur body to his friend,
Yeah.
and then Pilate just, "Don't you dare raise your voice to me, Caiaphas!" Side of Plunter Blades, Caiaphas is all. I just loved that as a kid.
I believe that. Yeah. Um, I believe surprisingly the VeggieTales version of Jonah is a very funny way of it's a very funny way of depicting the story, but it is still like the ending is still biblically accurate. It's like
VeggieTales is so weird because it's like usually I would be mad about historical and biblical inaccuracies,
Hmm.
but it's like VeggieTales is so different because they tell the story at the same time. I wouldn't say they parody it,
No.
but at like it's just the way they tell it. They have their own unique charm to it, to where they
Yeah.
add humor there,
Hmm.
to where I'm like, you know what? I don't care about the inaccuracies. I mean, they're vegetables for goodness sake.
Yeah, and we all know when you don't wash your vegetables, you baptize them.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And
But yeah,
also, if you
Jonah was
haven't,
a
don't
good
watch
one.
the anime VeggieTales if you haven't read the manga, the Bible. I'm sorry, I'm just pulling up memes at
Wow,
this point. Anyways,
wow.
we're almost at an hour point. Do you have anything else you'd
I
like to
think we
say?
go for it. Was there any more you wanted to mention?
I didn't have anything else, but do you have anything else you want to say?
There was it was an Italian studio.
Hmm.
The movie was made in Italy, but it was one about Esther.
Uh huh. I think I know which one you're
That
talking
was
about.
that was a really good one.
Hmm.
Um,
About Esther,
let's
real
see.
quick. Did the guy in the hood with the feather from the VeggieTales version, did that guy creep you out as a kid? Cause he creeped the heck out of me.
No, I thought he was hilarious.
It scared the crap out of me.
Well, see, okay, that's the difference between you and me. I've always loved darker things.
Yeah.
Granted, yes, there were some things that did scare me as a kid, and
Hmm.
that scare me.
Yeah, it's the
But
same
like,
thing with me as an adult now. Like, I look at the rumor weed in the fib and I'm like, this scared me as a kid? What?
it's just really difference in personality because when I saw the Grim Reaper with a feather, I just laughed. I'm like, this is hilarious.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I remembered I would always, when I was watching Larry Boy in the Fear from Outer Space as a kid, I would always, like, hide my face or jump in bed and be like, tell me when it's over, tell me when it's over.
I mean, like I said, there were to us when we were kids, there were just certain things that would trigger a response.
Hmm.
Like I said, I've there were some things that honestly my brother to this day will every now and then make fun of me for, and I'm
Like
like,
what? Let's
I'm
get.
not going to mention it.
Oh,
No,
come
I'm not going to
on.
mention it. It's not
You're.
related to this subject.
Okay, fine. We'll talk about it later.
But here's something, you wouldn't get it.
Okay.
They were very specific things. You would not understand what they were. I don't think anybody would understand it.
Okay, that's fine.
But anyways, but yeah, it's like looking back, I was like, huh? But
Huh? It's like the cat. Huh?
oh,
Huh?
oh,
Yeah. So the Italian studio that made Esther, I think I've seen bits and pieces of that movie too. But from what I saw, it was pretty good.
they've made like I kind of want to get the whole collection because they did like a bunch of Bible stories.
Didn't they do one with John and stuff like that too?
John, Nehemiah, Solomon, uh, Jeremiah.
Yeah.
They Acts even they made quite a few of them.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Oh, one last one. This is probably one of my favorites.
Okay.
The Miracle Maker.
What's that?
The Miracle Maker is a very underrated one because it's clay animation.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
And it was actually really good animation.
Hmm.
Like, most people like this like they even the facial expression, and Ralph Fiennes voiced that one, and he that was one of my favorite depictions of Jesus was
Hmm.
because once again, we show his divinity, but they really showed his human side on that one.
Hmm.
Like he's laughing, you see him laugh with the disciples when his cousin John the Baptist is killed. You see him mourn,
Hmm.
and one of the coolest moments. It was a little creepy, kid, but
Hmm.
it was when Mary Magdalene he casts out the demons from Mary.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that depicted in many different ways.
Like, because the thing with the Miracle Makers, most of it was clay animation, but some 2D.
Yeah.
Like this part was 2D,
Hmm.
and she's going crazy, and then when he shows up, you see the demon jump out of her
Hmm.
and start yelling at Jesus, and he grabs her. And he's like, "Yo, get out!"
Hmm.
And then it turns back to clay animation, and the sun is rising, and he's holding her, and he's like, "Your it's over."
Yeah.
Like, as much
Those.
as I loved how The Chosen depicted him casting out the demons, the Miracle Maker's my favorite version.
Yeah. What about the real quick? What about the story in the Bible with the man who was like chained to a rock and had demons inside of him and was cutting himself with rocks?
Legion.
Yeah, Legion. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wasn't that shown in Jesus of Nazareth? I'm pretty sure.
I haven't seen Jesus of Nazareth. I've only seen little bits of it, so I don't
I
know.
think it was, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember that you just see the guy just screaming and screaming and having and foaming at the mouth and everything, and then you just see Jesus just hold up his hand just like this and like, be still, get out of him, and he just falls to the ground and he's whole again. It's just
Mhm.
so well done.
Uh-huh. Another one that's pretty good is this was like a mini series.
Mhm.
It's the Book of Matthew
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
with
yeah,
Bruce Marciano, I think.
yeah,
Like literally, it's the entire book of
yeah,
verse for verse.
yeah, yeah.
That was a pretty good one. That was a really good one.
Hmm.
It's been years since I've seen. Oh, another good one. Another good one. The
Hmm.
Ten Commandments with Charleston Heston.
I have not seen that.
Dude, you gotta see that one. That one is so good. It is. It is a longer one,
Yeah.
but it's good.
Oh, I believe you. And
Like
then
I grew up with that one.
and then we can't end this off without talking about the Prince of Egypt.
That one was good. Like, okay, my opinion on that one is, as a movie, it is a cinematic masterpiece.
Yes.
As a biblical adaptation, I was honestly a little disappointed in it. They
Yeah.
took a lot of liberties with that one.
Yeah.
So, like I said, as a movie, 10 out of 10. But like me being a Bible nerd, I was watching it and I was trying to hold it together because I pointed, no, that's not.
Yeah. Did you know they made a sequel to it that was direct to DVD called Joseph King of Dreams?
Yes, but I haven't seen that
I
one.
haven't either. I've only heard of it. I want to see it to see what kind of movie it was like. 'Cause it had the same animation style.
Mhm.
So,
It sucked. It's like, okay, DreamWorks was going somewhere with this. They could have tackled other biblical stories.
yeah.
And I'm like, and then they just didn't.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, this was successful. Let's never do it again.
Yeah. Let's just milk Shrek, for example.
Don't get me started on Shrek. Do you know that the animators that
Yes.
somehow would screw up on Prince of
And they
Egypt,
would
their
be called
punishment
was
was
to
go
be
and animate Shrek, and
they got
the term
Shrek.
was, yeah, you got Shreked.
Yes, I
I'm
was gonna
like,
tell you that. That's hilarious. Anyways, we've been going for an hour and 5 minutes now, about 4 to 5 minutes. So, anything else you need to say?
uh, Jesus Christ is Lord.
Yep.
Give your life to Him.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Okay, I agree with that statement because yeah, it's don't do it before it's too late.
Mhm.
But we hope you have it. We hope you have enjoyed this episode of the Crossblades podcast, where we talk about faith, pop culture, and everything in between. What's our next episode going to be?
I'm not sure yet. I need to look in the list and
Okay,
see which one we're gonna do
we'll
next.
figure out episode 8 next time. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. This has been Nico, and this has been my co-host Samek, and we'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.
See ya.